Going live. Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody. Cantonese Cat here. Welcome to the weekly live stream. Sorry I got to do it a little bit early today, rather than my usual nighttime, because there's some changes in plan, but that's okay. There's going to be a little bit of theme, and I'm going to take as much chart requests as I can and go through and just speed through everything, because I'm like super wired right now. This is the S&P 500, the SPY. I'm going to zoom out here. I'm going to look at the monthly chart. And this is really looking at back in history here from the bottom of the great financial crisis. You do, again, chart here on the monthly. On the logarithmic chart, you do 720 and 5. And what you're going to see is this beautiful market symmetry here, where these arcs have really served as resistance and support over time. And guess what we're at right now? Ruh-roh. I'm not a dog, but I guess I can say ruh-roh. We are currently at resistance, right? Now, just because we're at resistance doesn't necessarily mean that like we're just going to plummet down. I think there's a good chance that we might end up going sideways here for a couple months here for S&P 500. I'm going to show you a few things to tell you kind of not to be scared about this. This looks scary, but I'm not really going to be that get scared about it. You've also hit the 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level if you do from the January 2022 high to the October 2022 low. We have reached the 1.618 Fibonacci level here, which is also a confluent zone for resistance. So should you freak out and go ahead and sell everything because it's going to plummet down all the way to hit the arc down here and hit the 260s? I don't think so, right? Okay, but do we think that we should be scared here? The answer to that question is I don't think so. The reason is because you already had a lot of deleveraging that already happened down here in 2022. And you've already gotten to the point where the QQQ, and this is the NASDAQ here, NASDAQ has been interesting. NASDAQ has been lagging the S&P 500. You can see that the S&P 500 has just been going up. NASDAQ has just kind of gone sideways here for about 3 to 4 months here. And we are also at resistance here on the QQQ. If I drew the Gann chart here on the monthly, you can see all the way from the great financial crisis. And if you are doing it on a logarithmic scale with the numbers 750 and 5, you can see that we've been hitting resistance here for quite some time. This resistance is also confluent with the 1.618 Fibonacci extension level all the way from November 2021 to October 2022, right? That's really where we got rejected here back in July. So you might say, well, are we going to crash down to some of the arcs and whatnot down here? I don't think so. I'm also going to show you a little bit as to why I think that is the case. I'm going to show you basically like a lot of things are resistance. IWM is at resistance. Well, if you don't look at the Fibonacci level, no, because it really looks like, and this is drawn, I guess I drew this one all the way from the dot-com bubble burst all the way up to here, and the numbers are your 720 and 1. And you got some really beautiful market symmetry here. Each arc is more or less resistance and support. Resistance here, almost support here, got rejected here at the angle, came back down, got support here at the arc, and then we pushed through and we pushed back above this horizontal zone. Now, this is promising, right? Because we're above the horizontal zone. So based on the Gann, the next natural order could be right around 300, right around the arc up here, or higher potentially. I don't think it's going to go to like 400 or anything, but it could probably hit the arc up here. It's probably going to hit some pretty major resistance here. But the theme today is resistance, and are we at resistance here on even the Russell 2000 small caps on IWM? Yes, we are. What is the resistance? Resistance is at 0.786 Fibonacci level. This is a very important Fibonacci level here. And if we are breaking above the 0.786, that means that we're going to go a lot higher. So the 0.786 usually is the break point. If we're able to break above that, man, it could really hit like these, high 200s, maybe even 300 zone up here the 1.618 would be naturally where it kind of gravitates to. Is the 1.618 number important? Yeah, I would say it's pretty important. I mean, just let me see here. I'm just going to do some random fit levels here. I guess this hit this 2.618 here during this cycle over here. And during the cycle over here, let's see. Yeah, I guess it didn't really quite hit the 2.618, but at least it hit like 1.618, right? So I'm not like you shouldn't be entirely surprised if it ends up having great deleveraging like we did in 2022 with like 2 years of going sideways for consolidation and for whales to start accumulating. I would not be surprised once it pushed above the 0.786 is going to go up to like 300. So we will see. But again, the common theme today is resistance, right? What is not a resistance? ARK fund. ARK fund is actually broken above the 0.136, actually above the ARK, and the next horizontal line over here again is around like 53.5, which means that it can potentially have a lot more room to kind of go up. And if I just get rid of all this junk here, 20-minute moving average curling up, you have a lot of like bullish stuff that's kind of building up here for the ARK fund, which is extremely interesting. It looks like there might be some rotation that could be happening pretty soon, and we're going to have to see what happens next. Now you have the Ishimoku cloud here. You can see that it basically has broken above the monthly Tenkan Kijun. Looks like there's some room, some more juice for it to kind of run. So everything is telling us that, hey, maybe ARK fund actually has been above these support levels. Maybe it's going to actually be one of those things that could run up higher. It's absolutely bizarre to think about. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Now, the US dollar, I was putting a post here earlier today. US dollar is at resistance. It basically has been doing a little bit of dead Cantonese bounce here. And it didn't really quite form a lower low compared to that, but it did end up coming back right in, smashing into resistance here. And so far it's getting rejected here. So, be bearish on the US dollar at resistance. If that's the case, that probably means that Bitcoin might be doing pretty decent. It means that high risk assets and equity is probably going to do pretty decent too. Just looking at a couple other sectors here, I almost never really look at that. Look at like industrials, like XLIs, which is an industrial index. It had a katana, came back, tested the katana, and ran up a lot higher. Beautiful, right? Looking at financials also is going a lot higher too. Are these at resistance? Let's see. Well, they're not actually, because if you get rid of the Ishimoku cloud over here, you do a monthly version of this, they've already gone past the resistance. I drew all the way from like the great financial crisis. Industrials have been respecting again very, very well as resistance arcs here, resistance horizontal zone over here. And this arc over here has also served as resistance, but we've passed through that now. Industrials look like it wants to go a lot higher, right? Financials, again, drew the bottom here at the great financial crisis bottom, right? Which is well fitting for the financial sector. And if I do against for 360 and 1, you can see this great market symmetry where the arc over here serves great resistance, horizontal here serves great resistance. Here, back to this arc support, tapped it and then ran, got through the 45-degree angle, which means that it's probably going to go grounding up to the arc up here. So financials are not at resistance, right? So a lot of things are telling me that even though S&P 500 is at resistance, even though QQQ is at resistance, QQQ has already been trying to push for resistance here for quite some time. S&P 500 just got there. You know what that means to me? That means to me that I think if you have QQQ over SPY chart and you look at the 20-month moving average, it looks like the QQQ wants to potentially starting to outperform the S&P 500 again, right? During bear markets, the QQQ over SPY drops all the way down. During bull market, it tends to go up against the SPY. QQQ tends to go up against the SPY. When you have QQQ starting to get a little bit more like, yeah, I don't really want to like go up anymore against S&P 500, that's when you may need to be, like a little bit more worried, but I think we have already had this consolidation, and the trend of the QQQ over S&P 500 is still up. The 20-month moving average currently has so far served as perfect support here for this ratio. And that really does tell me, because QQQ is stuck underneath resistance here for so long now, and because S&P 500 just kind of got there. Oh, this looks kind of weird. It's because I'm on linear, that's why. And because the S&P 500 just got to resistance, and QQQ has been testing resistance for so long already, I think QQQ is probably going to end up outperforming S&P 500 moving forward. Also, just look at the ratio. It just looks like that's going to be the case. And also looks like there's going to be some pretty decent rotation into small caps too, because if it's been like 4 months trying to break about the 0.786, if it breaks about the 0.786, which is around 226.74 right now, then all hell could break loose, right? Same thing. ARK Fund looks like it wants to run up higher. The dollar looks like it sucks. Industrials and financials look pretty decent. Like everything is just pointing up, right? But the S&P 500 might need to kind of cool down a little bit and let the other stuff kind of run a little bit higher. Also think that the S&P 500 might also go up, go down, or go sideways here a little bit, and there's going to be a lot more volatility. Is because you have the VIX here. I'm going to jot down. Somebody requested Visa. I want to take the opportunity to thank you for the usual suspects for showing up here, which include my unpaid intern, Vivian, Jules, DK as well. I gotta see it. Yes, spin second serve. You're like the first one here. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I get so excited about charts. I'm just gonna keep going. All right. So VIX, what you're seeing here on the VIX, I'm a little bit worried about the VIX. The reason why I'm a little bit worried about the VIX here is because you have a negative sloping 20-month moving average turning a little bit more flat here. You have the VIX kind of getting above the 20-month moving average. It has been pushed once, twice, and 3 times over the last 3 months trying to get above. Do I think it's going to end up getting rejected and going down further? Sure, but you can never be sure. Look at how the Bollinger Band is squeezing. That tells you maybe a little bit of a bigger move could be coming on the monthly here. Yikes, right? But it might not happen for a very long time. It might not happen until like sometime 2025, 2026, who knows, for a big move, right? You already had the VIX gone up to like 65 here back in August of some like yen carry trade BS, and it really got the same amount of fear as you did back in COVID shutdowns, where the entire economy was shut down. The same amount of fear and VIX you have back in like the great financial crisis, right? You already had the great, crazy deleveraging for a price to go kind of a lot higher. But this does make me wonder whether or not the S&P 500 could potentially end up lagging a little bit here. The VIX is not really being reflected on, for example, if small caps run higher, if Bitcoin runs up higher, if Bitcoin miners runs up higher, the VIX usually is not as affected. So it can certainly be a little bit of discrepancy where VIX can keep going up here a little bit. The S&P 500 can kind of go sideways and down here a little bit, but QQQ and IWM and everything else could end up actually having been rotated into, which would be a very interesting kind of setup. None of these are guaranteed, of course. Now, what else am I looking at here? Looking at yields, right? A lot of people saying follow the Fed, don't fight the Fed, Fed. I got to say that yields have been plummeting down for like a whole percent already over the last year, and it has topped in October 2023 before the Fed even do anything. The Fed didn't do anything until just now, right? And when they did something, when they cut rates by a 50 percentage point, yields paradoxically actually went up, because yield was already expecting the Fed to cut, and it was just already way outside a little Bollinger Band. It was just like, technically it's just a little bit too far, too fast. We're gonna have a little bit of a dead Cantonese bounce here. So this is a 2-year, this is the 10-year. 10-year had a dead Cantonese bounce right into a flattening 20-month moving average. And the whole thing is probably going to keep going down. I mean, this is what you're seeing here on the 10-year is basically very similar to what you're seeing over here, right? You have yields kind of gone up. Everybody says higher for longer. Oh no. Plummeted down, back tested a flattening 20-month moving average. Probably want to go down further. Do I think it's going to go all the way down to 0 like we did back then, back in COVID? Probably not. I mean, that they're going to want to bring it down to 0, but I'm not sure if they have the capability of doing that. I think most likely the next trajectory for yield is going to go to, from once it starts to plummet, would probably be somewhere over here at the monthly Ichimoku cloud, which to me is going to be maybe around 3.3 to around 3.5%, somewhere around here, which means that it's actually good to have yields not all the way down to zero. It's actually good to have yields at like a sufficiently lower level, that actually would be very bullish, right? The Chinese liquidity has been going up, and this is a little bit of a delayed data, because this is the M2 money supply from China. Initially, for the month of like March all the way to August, you have just basically flattened sideways over here, right? With Chinese liquidity doing absolutely nothing. For September, before the big giant Chinese pump that you had with the stock market, it's being shown up here in Chinese liquidity. M2 is kind of shot up like just like that, boom, right? And guess what? The Chinese market did? It did the same thing. Like this is not like magical or anything like that. This is just the way that it works, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm just basically thinking like the Chinese liquidity has gone up too. So if Chinese stocks do well, I think U.S. stocks are going to do pretty decent too. I just have a hard time really seeing one doing well and the other one like doesn't do too well. And also, not to mention, the Chinese stock market cap is actually quite small compared to the U.S. So there's going to be some rotation back and forth. But we'll talk a little bit more about China later on. I'm going to do something a little bit different here because I'm really wired. My brain's going like 100 miles per hour. I'm going to go through Magnificent Seven, if I can speak correctly. The first one I'm going to go to, and I never talk about any of these stocks because I really don't care. I have like exposure to all of them, but I think it's a good idea to kind of show you what I'm thinking here in terms of what the market is going to do. Look at the first one here. The big dog is going to be Microsoft and Apple. Apple, I drew again here, all the way from like the 1990s, 7, 20, 10. Pretty decent market symmetry with the arc being resistance here, right? Being support over here. What are we doing right now? Well, we're kind of entering an arc over here. And what is it doing so far? It looks like it wants to get inside the arc. Maybe it's probably even going to go to like 2.618 here, before really seeing any major resistance if this is a real breakout. It did break out above the 1.618, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. Probably going to end up grabbing up higher, right? Microsoft, what is it doing right now? It's got like earnings coming up, I think. Well, right now it's just kind of stuck at the bottom of this arc over here. It's just been stuck sideways, right? And just look at how the arc can be served as pretty decent resistance and support. Right now, we're just using bottom arc as a little bit of a support here. We're also trying to break through the 1.618. So Microsoft is a little bit under resistance, which is why you can see QQ is under resistance. Apple is kind of breaking above the 1.618, breaking into the arc up here. That's promising. Amazon kind of stuck underneath resistance. It's stuck underneath the previous all-time high, the cycle high over here. So it's still trying to get some juice to kind of go up. Over time, Amazon's probably end up grabbing to at least the 1.618, if not a little bit higher. But right now it's kind of battling a little bit of demons over here. Meta's actually broken above its resistance so far. Again, this is a monthly chart. Month of October is not done yet, but so far is able to break about the 1.618. Probably going to have grabbing to the arc up here around the 600. So it's even 700. I can totally see it. You see it maybe hitting like 700 or even like 750. I can totally see that happening sometime 2025, right? And then Google, what is Google on right now? We got rejected at 1.618 over here, right? Back tested the previous all-time high here, found support. Probably going to go back up here to 1.618. But I can argue that Google is a little bit underneath resistance here. Why am I showing you all this? Well, what I'm trying to show you all this, the reason why is because QQQ is under resistance here for months, right? And there's a reason for that. Some of the large cap stocks have broken through. Some of them haven't yet, right? Some of them are still consolidating sideways. You have earnings coming up. I kind of have a hard time seeing earnings not doing very well for a lot of these companies. Meta's broken out. Google hasn't broken out. You know what has broken out? Let me know if I'm talking a little bit too fast, by the way. You know what has broken out? NVIDIA has broken out. NVIDIA really looks like it wants to hit like 350. I don't think NVIDIA is going to make like a huge move and then make another 10x from here. I think it'll be good for it to make another like 2.5, 3x from here moving forward. There's a reason for that. I mean, I'm showing you like the Bollinger Band here. Whenever I start seeing Bollinger Band kind of getting contracted here, I start to get a little bit worried about the bull market starting to get a little bit exhaustion, right? You see the Bollinger Band contraction here on the monthly, starting to get a little bit exhausted. See a Bollinger Band contraction here on the monthly, starting to get a little bit exhausted. Still make another 2 or 3x, still make another 2 or 3x, right? That's kind of where I'm seeing right now with NVIDIA. Broken above the arc over here, but the Bollinger Band has gotten a little bit more exhausted just because we kind of gone a little bit sideways and the bull trend starting to get a little bit tired now, which is not me. I'm not tired at all. I'm just going to keep going. Right now, we're not over the upper Bollinger Band. I think things are not overextended. We were before, but things cooled down, went down through the arc, was able to push through the arc. So the natural the order of things going to probably be up here to this horizontal line up here around 350. Nothing's guaranteed, right? But I can totally see that by the time when the Bollinger Band gets back up here, I think price would be a lot higher. And by the time when the Bollinger Band gets really, really close to the price, that might be when you start to have a little bit of a downtrend, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing here with NVIDIA. Now, with NVIDIA breaking out, I have a hard time seeing QQQ not breaking out. With Apple breaking out, I have a hard time seeing QQQ not breaking out. With Meta breaking out, I have a hard time seeing QQQ not breaking out, even though the other stuff is still under their respective resistance, if you will. What is on the Mag 7 that is missing in terms of breaking out? Tesla. Tesla has been, yeah, I know, Kim. I try to do one with the bros and Heidi, and then I try to do one in the afternoon because I usually for like the Cat Crew live stream, I don't like to talk as much. I don't like to show as many charts unless if there's something that I just like this morning I was like, man, I gotta talk about Tesla, so I did. But I generally don't like, I like to let the rest of them kind of talk and trying to like moderate if you will. But I like to kind of talk myself because I'm a narcissistic cat, and just like to anyway. Tesla. I want to I talked about Tesla for an hour. We talked about Bitcoin for like an hour and a half, and A was there, and Heidi was there, and like those two are like Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner enthusiasts. So I just let them run. People love to hear about from them, especially A. I just let them run. But that was a fun time. This always is a fun time. But at the end, I felt like I need a little bit of Adderall to focus. So this is a little bit of kind of like my personal Adderall, if you will. Yeah, go back. Yeah, he's usually spot on. I do want to say that his weekly Tesla chart, and I made the argument today too. I'll probably mess it all up if I like try to pull up his Tesla weekly chart and like show my personal information and stuff. I don't want you to find out who I am. Let me see if I can find his weekly Tesla chart. The problem with finding his charts, like he like share these charts with us. The problem with finding his chart is like we talk on privately for like I have to like weed through a bunch of crap to find the charts that he posted. So let me see if I can find it. Oh no, that's not it. I'm sorry to waste your time. I would like to find his Tesla weekly chart. There you go. Would you let me copy here? No, it's too large. Oh, what should we do? I don't want to show you my personal information. So what I'm going to do is this. Yes. So I'm going to do is this. This is Danny's weekly Tesla chart. There's a yellow candle right here, right? Now we're going to talk about Danny's charts now. The yellow candle is super small. The yellow candle is right here. It's actually on the upper part of the red ribbon. And to me, because it hasn't broken to halfway of the bullish red ribbon, I think this is a little bit more equivalent to this red candle over here. I think it was a little bit more of like a premature call. And premature calls happen all the time. And even Danny, he doesn't take into consideration like the monthly red candle is still in place for Tesla, so I'm not worried. Like even if it goes down further, I don't care. But there's a possibility. There's a possibility because there's still a little bit of increasing. There's still a little bit of increasing whale accumulation, decreasing retail over here. Even though, and this whole trend here on panel 2 is still like bullish, right? So I'm not going to let one candle here throw me off. I think this is kind of equivalent to this candle over here that didn't really quite work out, right? Because this candle over here is above this volume shove support. This candle over here is, it's yeah. I mean, like it hasn't even got through halfway of this blue ribbon, right? So I think this is a little bit of a premature call, and this red ribbon was also immediately followed by like increase in retail. So a lot of times it's hard to say these things. Even Danny was not really sure about this like weekly call, but he's not really buying Tesla heavy or anything like that. He's like interested in other things. But anyway, what do I think about Tesla? I went through real quick today. Monthly chart, 20-month moving average, flat, pointing out support. Where's the 20-month moving average right now? 217.77, right? I'm just going to round to like 220. I'm just going to round to 220. What about the Ichimoku cloud? Where's the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud? 214. Sorry, 213.15, right? I'm going to round to like 215. I'm not precise. I'm not like an Elliott wave like obsessor. Like I don't care about the exact levels. I just kind of look into the range, right? Looking at the weekly here, is it support here at the bonus support band? Yes, it is. Where's the bonus support band located right now? 219, 218, somewhere around there. You're looking at the Ichimoku cloud. Where's the top Ichimoku cloud located right now? 219, right? So you have a lot of confluence basically telling you that, hey, this is a potentially pretty strong support zone over here. On top of that, I was also talking about the daily chart. This really looks like an island reversal in the setup here. And it's also being supported by volume. There's no volume over the last few like the entire week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, yawn. Like nobody cares about Tesla. Move on to something else. Pump miners, pump everything else. I don't care about Tesla. And that's when like this is when there's not really any particular reason to really plummet down any further. It's going down for like 2 or 3 weeks straight into earnings. This is usually a great thing, right? And all it did right here was it just gave you a middle finger over here. Like, haha, robotaxi, whatever. But the whole idea is there's no volume. There's just no volume. I think it has to make a move, and again, I don't like to make bets into earnings. If it has to make a move, the next move is probably going to be up. Just to bet right now. I don't want to bet, so I don't really care. I'm just going to hold on the position because longer term trend is changing. This long term trend is changing, and there's no really any particular reason for me to worry about Tesla in the longer term. It can go plus or minus 10, 15% in a day. It can go 20%, 30% in a week. I don't care. It's flipping from a negative slope to a positive slope. It's flipping from a bear market to a bull market. And it's also one of those things that could potentially, even if Tesla moved just a little bit, it could potentially help the QQQ as well. So, whoo, man, I'm like completely kind of wired. So let's look at, and the Great Mass has also really got me into like the whole GAN thing. So I can just do one here just for funsies, see what happens, right? I mean, it basically, you can look at GAN in different ways. You can put in different numbers, but they all have to be multiples of 45s. So I'm going to do a multiple 45 right here. I'm going to do like, let's say 1 is already a little bit too far, so I'll do like 5. What you're going to see here is it follows great market symmetry, right? You've already bypassed even previously, like you already have back tested the arc here, went to the next arc, and then you push through the arc, back tested the arc, went through the next arc, got resistance here, went back up here. A lot of people are calling for a back test of this arc, but it just never happened because of some escape velocity that happened. Next thing you know, right now it's really flipping this arc over here as support. It's been flipping this arc here as support for about 3 years now. Yeah, do you buy that this is support? Yes, I buy this as support. Like that. There's no mystery here, right? So if this is a support down here, where's price going to gravitate up to? It's going to gravitate back up to here, the next level, which is 400, right? And if it like plummets down, sure, it could go back to this arc over here, but I think the natural order of things is like once you test support for so long, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. You know, you want me, right? You want me. You want to buy me. Okay, sure. I'll put out. I'm going to put out to the next level. Like that's kind of where I see Tesla here. Um, yeah, I'm pretty bullish on Tesla. I'm seeing a couple of chart requests here with Visa and Oxy. I'm going to get to them right now because I just really want to start up by talking to the market here for about half an hour, talking about what I'm seeing here. But before I move on to that, I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you NVIDIA over Tesla chart. I want to show you NVIDIA over Tesla chart. Why do I want to show you NVIDIA over Tesla chart? It's because I think that NVIDIA is exhausted relative to Tesla. I think that there is there are two humps over here. You know, one big hump over here, and we're creating another big hump over here. Just like there's a lot of these like cycle market psychology kind of thing. I don't know. Usually, for whatever reason, it seems like the bull market you have Nvidia kind of outperform, and then Tesla comes in and like kicks his butt. You know, right now we've had Nvidia kind of come in kicking Tesla's butt for like 3 years now. And what's happening right now with this trend is this trend of Nvidia over Tesla chart is it exhausting? My answer to that, I would argue, yes, right? Because you can see that over here is kind of equivalent to over here, where you're starting to get a little bit of, a little bit of a higher high here, but RSI keeps on making lower highs, right? Over here, what's happening right now? You got a little bit of a high here. I guess it's trying to make it back here, but the RSI has just been looking lower high. Like the trend looks exhausted to me, right? Which means that Nvidia over performance over Tesla looking like it may be a little bit exhausted to me. So if I have to put money in right now, if I have to choose between Nvidia and Tesla, what would I buy? I've been buying. I'm still DCing into Tesla. So, and I'm not really putting money into like Nvidia or any of the semiconductor leverage plays or anything like that anymore. So, can I please take a look at AMD now that I'm talking about? I know I have other requests, but now I'm here anyway, so I might as well talk about AMD. Can I please take a look at AMD? Well, AMD. Sure, I'll take a look at AMD. What do I think about AMD? I think AMD needs to break about this RSI trend line over here. That'd be nice. Um, the problem with AMD is underperforming. NVIDIA, I don't have to tell you that. You already knew that. It's still a bullish chart. It's still a bullish chart. It has a cup and it had a handle and it back tested, this previous all-time high here pretty perfectly. So I think AMD is probably getting ready to run. The only issue is how high and whether or not you really want to get into AMD relative to potentially other things you can potentially get into. Hard for me to say for sure. I'm going to do a magnet here. Let me just look at the fit levels, make sure. Yeah, I hit the 1.618 Fibonacci extension. It's just been kind of coming back down here, back to the 0.618, and right now was able to get back through to the 0.786 Tesla support. Wants to break above the previous high, so it's probably going to gravitate up to 1.618 here again. It's just a laggard. I don't know what else to say. Like this is a bullish look to it, but it's just a laggard. Got rejected here to Tenkan. So I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when the breakout is going to happen. You also have the weekly Ichimoku cloud that has been serving as a little bit of a demon here that it needs to battle. Initially, I was looking at this trend line here that looks like it wanted to break, but it kind of came back down, back to the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. Regardless of these are very constructive price action. It's just that it's just not impulsive like what Nvidia has already started to do. Like Nvidia is like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to keep going. AMD is like, I really got to take a break. Kind of came back and back tested some very important level. It looks like it wants to keep going, but Nvidia is like already taking off. So it's hard for me to say. Like I don't know. Even the fundamentals wise, I think AMD is lagging behind Nvidia, which I think it makes sense with the charts. But unlike TSM has just gone insane. And TSM actually looks even more bullish than Nvidia. Like Nvidia is like, oh, I'm gonna run. TSM is like, oh, I already ran. Like, and TSM already ran so hard from, I guess it just had its earnings recently, right? It ran so hard that it hit the arc resistance here almost perfectly. Now I like almost perfectly, not perfect, but almost perfectly, right? It looks like it broken above the 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level from the previous cycle. However, in January 2022, it looks like it's already kind of broken above the 1.618. So TSM looks more bullish than Nvidia looks, and both of those look more bullish than AMD. AMD just looks lagging, but AMD's also got a bullish chart. It's just not taking off yet. So if that helps you, I always get questions like, and I never know how to answer to any of this. Like, should you go for a runner that has already ran to chase momentum like TSM, or should you kind of go back and like, maybe look into a bullish chart that is playing out but not quite taken off yet? I never really know the answer to that. I have like a little bit of both. It really depends on whether or not I think the risk reward ratio is good, and I like to diversify amongst different sectors. So I never really know the answer to that. I think it's okay to get exposure to AMD. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Mastercard is interesting too. But anyway, but yeah, I think AMD is going to be fine. It's a fine hold. I just think that it's just lagging behind the others, and it might continue to lag behind because the other guys are already taken off. So Visa. What would you like to know about Visa? I haven't looked at Visa for a very long time, and I'm gonna just look at a weekly Ichimoku cloud here. Visa looks excellent, right? Like I don't even need to. You don't even need to have any indicators, to be honest. Like, does it look like a bullish chart to you? Yes. Right. It looks like it wants to go higher. It looks like it's right at resistance. Would it potentially take another couple of weeks before you break out resistance? Potentially, but like this is not a bearish chart, right? Why are you having resistance right here? Let me see. I'm going to do a little bit of Fibonacci here. It's not quite a 1.6. Well, not quite a 1.618. I think 300 is going to be a resistance level up above once it breaks above that, but it looks like it wants to break above of it. It looks like it's just backtested the weekly Ichimoku cloud almost perfectly, and it looks like it wants to run higher. And if you ask me whether or not this thing is overextended here in the weekly, temporarily, yes, because it's getting resistance here at the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly, right? On the monthly, though, it probably still has a lot more room to run. So it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not my cup of tea. If you do a little bit of like a longer term thing from the Great Financial Crisis, you draw a Gann chart here. I'm going to do like 360 to give me a little bit more data. I'm going to do 360. Let's see. I think 5 would be a good level here to look at. Any good market symmetry? That's good enough. It's just it's just kind of going in a straight line. But I like the fact that it got rejected in an arc and backtest support here. Sure, it pushed through an arc here. So yeah, I mean, like Visa looks like it wants to push up to like over the next 2 or 3 years to go up a lot higher. I don't know what the target would be in terms of looking at that, but it probably wants to grab it up here in the arc. I don't know where it's going to hit the arc, but it probably wants to just go up here. Could it roll down here a little bit and then before going up? Entirely possible, but would I count on that happening? No, because the short-term market structure looks pretty decent based on looking at the Ichimoku. Like, there's no reason for it to roll down the arc anymore. The worst it can do, I think, would be come back to test a thick cloud here, which I don't think it has to do that anymore either, because it already did many times. And you had that bullish crossover here, and currently Tenkan is serving as support. So even on the monthly, Tenkan is serving as support over here. So there's not really any reason for Visa to kind of go down further. Oxy, Warren Buffett, the other Warren Buffett, not you. but actually, I don't know who requested Oxy. I'm just gonna go for it. I don't like Oxy. I just don't like the whole sector in general. It looks like it's a little bit rolling over. It had a bearish cross here on the monthly. It looks like the cloud's going to serve as pretty decent support though. So it could do absolutely nothing for another like year or two, kind of like it did absolutely nothing over here. And the trend just kind of got like completely exhausted, and it might break down the cloud at some point. I don't like this is a freak thing. Like from 2018 to like 2020, this is absolutely insane. But does look like a little bit of rolling over look to it, doesn't it? Um, Cloud could potentially serve as support, but like, why? I'm not. With Warren Buffett buying, and the chart still looks like this. I'm like, I don't know. Um, yeah, looking at the 20-month moving average is curling down, right? Like the trend change is pretty apparent. Wherever you have the 20 moving average kind of going down, but it's flipping from resistance to support, that's when you have a trend change, right? Right now, what's going on? Well, it's flipping from support here to resistance, and it looks pretty nasty actually. Do I think like this is equivalent to like over here? Could it make another leg up higher? That's entirely possible. But like there's like I'm looking at the technicals that I'm able to look at, and I don't really favor going into a stock like this. To be fair, let's zoom out and kind of look at the long-term history and see. See, I already charted this before. I already put like 20-month SMA over here, and I already probably said like last time it's not favorable. To be fair, 1440 and maybe do like one. Yeah, the market symmetry is not that great looking. I can totally see it coming back down here to the arc here, because that's where price would probably end up want to gravitate to, and that's confluent with the Ichimoku cloud here, right? Like, I'm not making this up. It probably wants to come back down and then maybe find support here in the cloud and maybe still get stuck in the arc over here before figuring out this next step. And I don't know where it's going to be up or down. All I have to say is I was really not that bullish on oil. Whenever like the CNBC people were talking about oil, like it's going to go up a lot higher. And when you had like 4 months going straight up like that, right into resistance for the US oil, I was like, yeah, oil's going to go down. And sure enough, it did, right? Made a low here and then make a lower low. So right now is at support is inside a monthly Ichimoku cloud. I cannot really say anything too terrible about it. But the weekly here is broken underneath the cloud here, and it's underneath all these resistance of the Tenkan Kitchen. So I would not be surprised if oil wants to keep going down further. I just don't like oil and gas stocks where it is right now. 20-month moving average curling down. This looks kind of like Oxy, doesn't it? You basically are hitting some resistance here, and there could be a trend change potentially for the worse. I'm not sure, like that. I'm not really sure whether or not it has to be that. Especially like China, like the narrative is China heats up, the Chinese economy heats up. They're going to need more oil, right? Oil is going to go up, right? That's the narrative, and that's what happened with this month candle hitting all the way back and retracing back to the mean, because that was the narrative, but it got rejected. It got slapped down by the negative sloping 20-month moving average. Like, bam, no, you're not going through. That's what's happening, right? So I'm not really that fond of like oil and gas stocks right now. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, any other requests here? Any updates on IOVA? Man, you guys are starting to roll up these. I'm gonna address the members' request here first. Obviously, Low Gains is my friend, supporter. I don't know how to like follower sounds so culty, I don't like the word. IOVA. I think probably tried this for you before. Low Gains. It's flipping. It's very nice, right? You can see like support. It's been a little bit exhausted here. Negative sloping, resistance, flip back to support, right? There's a trend. There's a fundamental trend change here, and it's kind of magical. You have this big giant green candle that pushed all the way about the upper Bollinger Band. Everybody's probably like super hyped up over here, and then you have like 4 candles that retrace back to the mean. This is absolutely brutal. Like, this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2. Wave 2s are usually brutal and shakes everybody out. You cannot join membership on iPhone. YouTube is dumb. They only let selected channels to have the join button on the iPhone, but you can use Android and you can use Chrome to join the channel, and then you'll have access to like all my like private stuff as a member on iPhone. Like, you just have to join somewhere else and you can use it on iPhone. It's kind of silly. But yeah, I think it's a pretty bullish look to it. If you look at Ichimoku, I think it still need a little bit of work, but this is a higher time frame. Obviously, on the lower time frame, it's still underneath a little bit of resistance here. It still needs to kind of push through because this wave 2 has just been absolutely brutal. but it looks like it wants to push through, especially as in the cloud over here is a little bit weaker, right? And I still like the fact that it's been forming a higher low here compared to there, and this is relatively a higher high compared to here. And for the most part, it's really broken about this really thick negative sloping cloud over here. It's really kind of flipped that from resistance to support. Let me see. Sometimes when I look at a 2 week, it shows me something. Now it's still stuck inside a cloud here. So maybe it's just had to kind of go sideways, find a moment of vulnerability to break out. That's kind of what I'm seeing here with this chart here. And I'm going to throw in let's see, I'm going to throw in like a quick GAN here. I don't know if you believe in GAN or not. I'm going to throw in a quick GAN here on the monthly just for funsies. If I do 360 here and I do 1 here, do I see any market structure symmetry? The answer is yes. And that is really telling me that it's kind of stuck between the angle here and the horizontal line over here, which is also part of the reason why you have like support down here below, right? And then you also have resistance up here above, which is going to be the Ichimoku cloud, right? The GAN is also very much confluent. Like it's stuck in a range right here. But I think because most recently, because the 20-month moving average is pointing up, I think whoa, looking really busy here. Because 20-month moving average is pointing up, I think the next natural order of things is going to be up, is what I'm thinking. Oh yeah, thank you, Nathan. I did very well. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow, I'm starting to have a lot more members having requests. I'm gonna make sure I fulfill all those as much as I can before I get into some of the other ones. So I talked about IOVA. Let me see if there are any other ones here by my members. We're gonna talk about hymns. I've already talked about a lot of the minors from yesterday, so let me go ahead and talk about hymns here real quick. To talk about hymns, you have to take it into context of 2 different things. One thing is on a higher time frame, and I don't care about valuation or anything like that at this particular moment because during the bull market, like that's kind of a little bit secondary. You can take years of valuation expansion, which is what I think is happening to hymns right now. You have the monthly Bollinger Band continue to expand. This is not a bearish thing. The monthly Bollinger Band is serving as resistance, but price is not currently overextended above that. The weekly still has some more time, some more room to go. The bar support band is still serving as support. The Ichimoku is still looking fabulous right now on the monthly. So the question would be, this is no doubt a bullish trend. The question would be, and this is not overextended so far. So the question would be, how high can it go? And when should I start to get worried? A big, nice cup over here wanting to break out, right? So if that is your question, the answer to that would be answered in a little bit of a different way. The answer with that would be perhaps we can look at a fit retracement first to kind of get an idea in terms of where we are. I already did one. Of course I did one, right? It's broken above this trend line here, so I think it's going to go higher. I think it's going to hit like back in the previous high here around 25.4. And then the next level of the sprint break above that, and based on Fibonacci, I think it's going to be like $39.42. There's no doubt in my mind it's bullish, right? I don't know the exact path is going to hit the 25.4 and come back down again to 0.786 before going up. That's entirely possible. But usually once things break like the 0.786, usually it tends to get pretty bullish and it just kind of wants to run up. That's what I'm seeing with hymns. Breaking through this negative trend line is bullish, but I don't know the exact path trajectory. If anybody claims that they do, run, right? Like if anybody knows exactly what's going to happen and tells you that, either there's something really wrong with the world and they really do know what's going to happen, or they're just guessing. So run. If you were talking about doing a Gantt chart to kind of try to find out the resistance and support through time, I'm going to do from the bottom over here. I'm going to draw 360, and I'm going to do it, the ratio, I'm going to do 1 here. Yeah, market symmetry is there. It's not great. It looks like it wants to run up here to like the 27 to 31 before resistance, but the market symmetry is not great. If you do two, I think it looks better. If you do two, I think I can totally see that it got rejected here at the horizontal, and I think it wants to get back to the horizontal. And then above that is going to be around 36 to 43, which is precisely close to where the 1.618 Fibonacci level was at. So I think it's got room to go if you're able to stay patient. I think it's got room to go if you want to play the whole cycle. Yeah, I can totally see it hitting an arc up here, confluent with the 1.618. When is it gonna hit? I don't know. Is it gonna hit like somewhere in like 2025, early 2025? Possible. It's also above this angle over here, which is going to serve as an additional layer of support. So none of these things are deterministic. I do know that Danny and Matsby, they're both very bullish on HIMS right now. I'm just going to leave it as that. So, which is also kind of what I'm seeing here as well. All right, what's up? What's next? Man, let me see here. Thank you for joining, Nathan. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for joining. I'm gonna share. There's a members only video I'm gonna share with you guys a little bit. I did a little bit of a 20-minute video on Coinbase and on MSTR. I'm gonna share that with you all sometime this weekend. Yeah, it was a fun chat. I was talking to Matt and Danny. We're sharing charts on Coinbase and MSTR. So I'm probably just gonna leave that. And since you joined the membership, I'm gonna give you an update on like what we think about coin as well. So we're gonna move on to do that. What I think about SE. What do I think about SE? C Limited. I used to own this, but I got frustrated and I left, and I rotated to other things. And it's fine sometimes to give up and rotate to other things. But of course, as soon as I left, like it formed a base over here. I think I left maybe somewhere around like the mid 40s or something like that. And then sure enough, it like went down further. And sure enough, like after like half a year, it like pumped back up. Looks pretty good. It's just form a higher high here compared to that, right? And I think it should at some point. I guess this is technically a little bit higher low compared to that. It's already above the whole like volume shelf over here. I think right now it is also broken about this level over here too, right? I already draw something here. It's broken about that level over here too. So I think the next natural order of things is for it to go up. And if you look, it's not quite at any like linear Fibonacci resistance, nor any log level resistance here. So I think the next natural order thing is for it to continue to go up here a little bit. You had the bullish cross over here. This is remarkable. You have bullish cross over here, which tells me that it wants to gravitate sometime around 2025 at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here, around 130s. If it's gonna hit the 130 zone, that's a pretty decent 30% gain from here. But I think that's going to be some pretty strong resistance here once it hits that. On the weekly, there's really nothing to show on the Ichimoku. Is already like way past that. This is a bullish chart. So, and also on the monthly, I already know that the 20-month move is going to look extremely bullish because of the morphology of this. I already know that the Bollinger Band is going to expand. I already know that the 20-month range is going to be crawling up. It's very, very nice to see that back test of the 20 and bounce. Like this is very, very healthy price action for beginning of a bull market. Very healthy. Are things a little bit overextended right now? You can argue so. It's a little bit over the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly. But again, this is not like crazy, right? You can ride up along with the upper Bollinger Band on a bull market for a very, very long time, right? So I still think this might still be like the beginning to mid, like maybe like third or fourth inning, if you will, of a bull market for SE. Actually looks absolutely enticing to me. And I'm gonna like not talk about it anymore because I'm a little bit bitter from it now. So anyway, yeah, it's if you bought at 45, good for you. Like this is a really amazing gain, and is the trend. I cannot deny this is a bull trend and it's going to keep running higher. So yeah, I think 120, 130 exit is reasonable. Not financial advice. Of course, I've got my unpaid intern asking me to look at a couple here. Mara, how do you like a middle-aged male cat saying Mara on the wall? Who's the fairest of them all? I'm sorry, I just creeped you all out. If you joined membership and you got creeped out, if you want to unjoin, I understand. This is the kind of stuff that you get for being hanging around here. If you're asking about price target, yeah, we talk about it, but there was like a collective kind of thing. If you're asking me about the upside targets, I'm going to say that we bounced from the 0.136 level over here almost perfectly, right? I think we've been stuck in a range between the 0.382 and the 0.136. So I think that minimally, and we did close above this horizontal gain line over here. So I think minimally is going to hit back to the top of the range, to the 0.382, which is going to be around $33.80. If it goes beyond that, it could hit the 0.618 level, which is going to be around $52.76. If it pushes through the 0.786 here, which is around $66, then I think it could hit the 1.618 level here, which is around $133. I think that's a reasonable target for the cycle for Mara. And I do not think that is deterministic because nobody really knows what's going to happen. But looking at global liquidity going up, looking at Bitcoin going up, I think it's reasonable to potentially think about the 1.618 here, which is $133. People talk about dilution all the time. I think it's already being priced into the price action. So if the chart looks okay, and if the dilution is already priced in, then I think you're fine. It's just stuck in a range. It's been forming for the most part higher highs and higher lows. Price went from like $3 all the way to like 34. Like, what do you want? So yeah, I think there's some room for it to continue to go up. 1.61 is going to be what I'm thinking. If it goes beyond that 2.618, if it goes beyond that, this arc up here around like the high 200s, 300s. I think the cycle is probably not going to go past like 2026. Or not going to go past through the end of 2025. So if it has to hit these arc, it probably have to hit like a big crazy move. I'm not sure it's going to do that. Some would argue making it to 1.61 is already pretty crazy, right? So that's the answer to Mara Hood. If you want to talk about like long-term price target, this is like my GAN. I was kind of looking at the fib levels in GAN and things like that. I think you might have Hood kind of stuck here for another few weeks because it's inside this arc over here. But if you're asking me for a longer term price target, I probably should do the GAN maybe a little bit bigger, because I know that everybody likes things a little bit bigger. No, I don't like that. If I do that, I have to do 320 just to capture a little bit more 720. Come on, 720. There you go. I'm going to change that to 1. Yeah, I really think that I think the cycle wants to hit the 0.5 at least. Like, it wants to get back up to the 45 range up here, to 55 range up here. I think that it really wants to kind of get up there. And I think Robinhood is one of those stocks that if you're in it, and if you're looking at how incredibly bullish it has been, I think this is like, it's got the Palantir feel to it because the Bollinger Band just keeps expanding. And the 20 moving average just looks like, Homo erectus. It looks like just really wants to just go up a lot higher. Yeah, I know I just made a pun there, like it was nothing. I'm so cool. But anyway, it's looks like the 20 moving average just wants to keep going up. Looks like Bollinger Band is expanding. 20 moving average, if anything, the uptrend is accelerating, right? This looks very, very incredibly bullish. So I think that it wants to hit a lot of the higher targets. And I just want to like set that as the ground rule here to kind of give you an idea in terms of what I'm looking at. Now that you have that set, like how high can it go? It could potentially ride up against this angle and use it as resistance and kind of go up a lot higher. I can see it breaking this arc and this arc over here to the 1.618 over the next 3 to 5 years. I can see it happening over the next 3 to 5 years to hit the 1.618, which would be like 5x from here. I can see that. Does it have to do what I want it to do? No. Like, could it just end up hitting like the 0.618 around $55 and end up having a little bit of like an ED and just kind of, go down? Sure, it can, right? I don't know. I can't see things beyond 2 or 3 years. All I know is over the next 12 to 18 months, it looks pretty bullish. So, how were the what is that? I'm so confused sometimes by Vivian's memes. I don't know what to feel. I'm just glad that I feel something when I look at that stuff. Did I hit all the members chart requests? If I haven't, please speak up because I think I did. And if I did, I'm gonna go back to some of the other chart requests that other people have requested. Warren Buffett asked about SQ. And is it not listening to me? There you are. I was like a year ago, I was scrolling through X. I was like a small account back then, I guess, I'm still a small account. But I was going through X. Somebody posted on one of my SQ chart and commented saying this is a giant head and shoulder and the target price, and they didn't give a target price, of course, but this is a giant head and shoulder, then target price would be like negative. So, anyway, of course, I don't think that this, what do I think overall? You have to think about a few things. So I think this is one of the laggards of all the fintech. And it's okay. It's okay to be a laggard because it gives you a little bit more time to accumulate. But you have a 20-month moving average that has been solidifying as support over here, which is not a bad thing. I initially, when I was seeing this price kind of go down here, I thought that this is going to be one of those, how do you call that, broadening descending wedge. Let me turn off the magnet here. Initially, I thought it was going to be like a broadening descending wedge. I'm going to try to draw it out here. So this is what I thought. And this is what I drew. And I drew this back in like when price is like down here. I was like, I don't know. It could have bottomed, and it bottomed. And then initially, like when price like went 11 candles up, and I was trying to like gloat, yeah, I called it right, blah blah blah. And I was gonna totally just gonna, yeah, you look a little bit exhausted here. It looks a little bit like a, like inverted hammer doji here. It's gonna go down. It's gonna push back up. Back test gonna go a lot higher. It did not end up doing that, right? So I ended up getting like a part of it right, but then like when I was kind of seeing where the writing was on the wall, and I was like, okay, I actually had a little bit of small SQ position, but I exited and I bought something else, but I don't remember what it was anymore. Right now we're kind of hitting the same trend line here. So this is a bullish formation, by the way. The descending broadening wedge is a bullish formation. So if you're able to break above back test and go higher, that's it. Why did I exit? Well, because I just keep seeing like it keeps on wanting to like push up but on declining volume, push up on declining volume. So it was non-committal, right? And then next thing you know, what do we have right now? Where we have a little bit of increased volume over here. This increased volume is still happening, right? So I actually think that SQ has a little bit of a chance to kind of break above this line, maybe back test it and go higher, and just join the rest of the fintech and have a pretty strong rally. There's nothing bearish about this chart, by the way. The only bearish thing about this chart is it's just not as bullish as everything else. Like that's really it. This is a higher high over here. This is a higher low. So this is a bull trend really ever since the bottom over here in October 2023. This is a bull trend. I don't have much else to say. If you want to talk about targets and things like that, I can. But I think like to draw fit levels, like anybody can do it. So I generally don't really like to do it all that much. I do think that whenever we were able to break about the 0.382, which is going to be the target after it breaks above the descending wedge 0.382. If you ever break about the 0.382, finally, then you're building a bunch of energy. It's probably going to shoot up to like the 618 here in a hurry around like the 134 because she's just been building up a lot of energy over the years. If you're looking at the Ichimoku, why I say that it's going to shoot up to like 130s, well, I don't know. I mean, it might end up happening, it might end up getting resistance way before that because bottom of Ichimoku clouds are around 120. So I can totally see that SQ maybe hit like 120 and it can probably end up hitting some pretty strong resistance there. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But am I bearish on SQ? No, like it's just the only bearish thing about it is just laggy. That's all. One more for Nathan. I don't know. This is regional bank 3x shares, so you're gonna have a lot of decay. Is this like a QR? Yeah, see KRE looks better, right? If you do like 3x, you're just gonna have so much decay. It's gonna be very, very difficult to chart. So I'm just gonna say like, is this something that I would buy? Is this something that's turning positive? Yes. It does have a little bit of falling knife look to it, but yes, you're using the tank in here. You flip the tank in the blue line over here from resistance here. Guess what? To support and back to support of 3 months in a row, right? So where it's going to end up gravitating to back to the bottom of the cloud up here, which could potentially end up doubling. But before it does that, you have a ball player over here called the kitchen can potentially come and intercept you. Like that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And if you're also looking at the why it's not going up any further, well, because actually, wow, look at how tight the Bollinger Band is squeezing right now. The 20-month moving average has been kind of reclaimed as support here, but like I don't like the fact that like negative sloping. But this is weird because it's leverage. If you look at like KRE, which I guess is the non-triple leverage part of it, it's also hitting the upper Bollinger Band resistance here, right? So there's they're basically the same thing, but the 20 moving average is at least trying to flip from like resistance over here to support, right? So I would say that I think regional banks are going to look pretty decent moving forward. This is a little bit of a higher low compared to over here. I think we probably still need to have a little bit of Bollinger Band expansion for KRE to really start running, but I'm not that bearish because if IWM, the Russell 2000 runs, and if fintech runs, if the financial runs, like I just have a hard time seeing something like this not running. But is that resistance right now? Like I guess that's why I have to say I can't draw GAN or anything. It's just like it wouldn't make sense for me to do any of that. So I also don't have any like fib retracements or anything. I guess I can from like up here and all the way down here, and you can see like it's not really at any fib resistance over here, but it's just at Bollinger Band resistance. So probably needs some time for it to play out. But yeah, you look at just DPST is like very bearish, but you look at KRE is turning very bullish. It just needs to break above this horizontal resistance zone previously into support. Right, that's what it needs to do, and it's on its way of doing that. It just needs more time. That's what I think. So, hope that answers your question there. Let's see. AQST. All right. So for the non-members, I'm just going to answer your questions here real quick. AQST bullish. Why is it? Because 20-month moving average is going up. You're having increase in price and declining volume. Trend looks a little bit exhausted. Be careful. Looking at the Ichimoku, broke inside Ichimoku cloud here. This is a bullish development. It doesn't mean that it can't come back and backtest some of this stuff down here before going up further on the monthly. On the weekly here, same thing. It doesn't mean that it won't come back down, backtest the bottom of Ichimoku cloud here around like 3.7 or like the top of Ichimoku around 4.2. It could totally do that because the trend looks a little bit exhausted here on declining volume. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. But overall, I would say that this is a bullish chart. Same thing, come back down, back test the rising 20-week moving average, and it'll still be a bullish chart. So I'm gonna just kind of leave it as that. HUT 8. Whoa, busy. What's HUT 8 doing? Get rid of all this junk over here. I'm just gonna do a high level scan. I'm not bearish on HUT 8 because 20-month moving average, just like a lot of bigger, more bullish miners. HUT 8 looks like it's turning positive here from a negative slope over here. And it's just been consulting sideways over for about a year and a half. But overall, the trend is turning bullish. It's reclaimed the monthly Tenkan Nikki is actually one of the better looking ones. It's probably going to end up gravitating up here to the cloud or here around 26, 27. I do have some pretty busy stuff over here being drawn. The cloud is going to be around like 0.718 0.618, which is around like in like the high 20s, right? I can see price grounding up towards that level, and I can also turn off the Ishimoku here and then get rid of the FIB levels over here. And the 30 is also going to be at this arc over here. So the next level is probably going to be the 30s. If Bitcoin does really well, how high can it go this cycle? It could potentially hit triple digits. I think it's entirely possible to hit that, or the horizontal line over here, which is going to be equivalent to the last previous all-time high over here. But I think the next natural order of things is going to be this arc over here, which is going to be around the mid 30s. That's HUD 8. The I can go fast if I want to. I can go fast if I want to. CIFR. What do I think about CIFR? CIFR, I did the scan here on the weekly chart here. It looks like it backtested what it needed to backtest here is 0.618, as well as the horizontal zone over here. So it's going to gravitate back up here towards $7. There's a huge resistance zone over here around like the invisible resistance zone over here around $5 to $5.50 that also needs to battle. And right now we're right at it. I think we're at the juncture that things are just kind of going way too long here. I think this time might be the time. This time is going to be different, guys. It's going to hit $7 here, see how it reacts, and go from there. If it passed through $7, if it passes through the 0.786, then all hell's breaks loose. It's going to hit this previous all-time high and might end up finishing the cycle up here, somewhere around this arc over here, around like the mid 20s to 30. So that's CIFR. What else you got? Bitfarms. It's basically a very, very similar kind of idea. Bitfarms finds support here 0.5 and also right in the confluence of the 0.5 and the angle over here. Naturally, I think it wants to try to challenge the 0.618 here again around 2.8. If it's able to pass through that, the next level would be maybe around $5. If you're talking about passing through all this, Bitfarms could potentially hit back at the arc up here, maybe even hit like the previous all-time high here around $10. Do I think Bitfarms going to hit like this arc up here around the 40s? I think that's insane. I wouldn't count on that. I can totally see price grounding up to the 0.786 here, which is around $5, and then we're going to see what happens from there. Look at the monthly chart, turning off the Gann chart over here, looking at the Ichimoku. I can totally see price want to gravitate here to the cloud here. The bottom of the cloud over here is around 3.5. So you might also have an additional layer of price resistance here around 3.5. Top of the cloud is around 5. So 3.5, depending on where it hits at the bottom of the cloud over here, I do think it's going to gravitate up here because you have a lot of wicks down here. These are kind of like these tweezers are generally pretty decent bottoms. So I think it's probably going to end up like pushing back to the bottom of the cloud here, probably push through back testing to $5, and then we'll see what happens. That's Bitfarms. Am I on a row here? AQST. Aquestive Therapeutics. Do I have any other members requests before I keep going? Yeah, low gains, no problem. Yeah. Let me push through all these requests here because I'm getting a little bit of a high going through it. Push through the monthly Ichimoku cloud here as a bullish development. Could we come back and back test the bottom cloud before going higher? Certainly possible. Looks like declining volume, so that might be a possibility. Or you can just count back test the Tenkan over here at blue line, just keep going up. Regardless, I think that we are getting a little bit closer to a little bit like an exhaustion over here. It looks like it wants to kind of take a break. Why is it that you want to take a break, you ask? I actually don't know. Let's see. When in doubt, you can draw some lines and see if it fits. Maybe it's just hitting a trend line over here. I don't know exactly why, but if you look at the weekly, it's bounced through the weekly Ichimoku cloud. It looks like it wants to go higher, but it just doesn't quite have like the volume and energy before doing that. So it might have to do a little bit more consolidation, maybe even come back down here a little bit before pushing through. I'm starting to see like the trend maybe just a little bit exhausted here. But it's still a very nice bull trend, right? Like even if you have some short-term volatility, if price goes back down to like 4.3 or like 3 or something like that, it's still just forming a higher low before going up higher. Um, and it doesn't have to, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to, but I can totally see it happening based on the fact that it had like a breakout and it just hasn't had a back test and the volume is declining. That's what I kind of favor that it might do, but I do not know anything. Okay. Um, I'm, let me see. Now that you got me all interested, I'm just going to do a quick Gann chart here on the monthly. Actually, I need a magnet here. I'm not going to do a very precise, I'm just going to do a monthly here. So 90, 90 and 1. Yeah, it broke through. It looks like it wants to grab it up here towards the arc up here, but it might come back and back test some of the stuff down here below before going up. That's kind of what it looks like. Anyway, next, what do I have? Somebody asked about PayPal. I like PayPal. I have a very small position. I just started a position back on PayPal. It's going up on declining volume. So at some point, I think the trend is getting maybe a little bit tired here. And the other thing too is if you look at the RSI here, RSI actually looks pretty good here on the weekly chart. I thought it was going to have some bearish divergence, but no, it couldn't have enough juice to push through the arc. But I think it's probably going to hit like the top of the arc here, and that's it before a little bit of a correction down below, which I hope to get. Maybe it's just my hopeful thinking here. Ichimoku had a katana. The katana is working out. It's looking very, very bullish here. Let me take a step back here because it's getting a little bit too busy here. Get rid of the Ichimoku here. Look at the monthly. If you really want to know what PayPal is doing on a higher time frame, whether or not it still has enough juice or is it going to hit some resistance and go back down a little bit, it is hitting some key resistance here, which is the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly chart, right? And on the Ichimoku, it did break above the Kijun line over here, which is always promising, but you don't yet have a bullish cross. And the Kijun is still negative sloping, so you could potentially come back down and back test some of the stuff down below, right? Like I don't know if it's going to go all the way down to like 68 or something like that. I'm not sure it will or not, but I can totally see it going back down to like the 70s, maybe mid or low 70s, back test some stuff here before going up further. I can totally see that happening, right? It also looks a little bit overextended here on the 2-week chart because it's way above the upper Bollinger Band. So it's going to be hard for you to just keep going up to like the triple digits this year. I think at some point it needs to cool down before back test some of the stuff before going up to like the triple digits. But this is promising. Like all this stuff is promising. If I buy PayPal now, I think I'm going to be very happy in like 12 to 18 months, which I'm doing. Because I'm seeing some pretty, good things transpiring over here. But I can totally see it coming back down, back test like 75. I can totally see it doing that. And if you look at the, looking again, I can totally see it coming back down, back test the bottom of this arc over here before going up higher. And that's why I don't think that triple digit is going to happen until maybe sometime in 2025. I don't know when exactly. But I do think that maybe around 2025, 2026, probably going to end up hitting the 0.5 level over here because there's just a lot of confluence, both in terms of fit level, in terms of the Gann line here, in terms of the angle here. I can totally see it hitting like $125 somewhere around there, maybe in like 18 months or something like that. I can totally see it possibly doing that. So all of these are just educated guess. I do not have any magic ball or anything like that. CORZ. Any other member have requested charts while I'm gone here? Actually, before I do CORZ, I got a member here asking for Rocket Lab. And Rocket Lab it has rocketed above the 0.382 Fibonacci level. And that is a bullish development because initially it was hitting resistance here at that level for 3 weeks in a row. And so far we've broken above that. Why did we get rejected over there? Because Bollinger Band was not expanded fast enough. And now it has. And next thing you know, like, oh, you're expanding, I'm just going to push up there. So that's exactly what happened this week. It's a very bullish chart. It's a very parabolic chart. Whenever I see parabolic chart, I think to myself, I don't know where the top is going to be. So if I'm holding, I'm just going to let it run. But if I'm like not in it, I won't buy. That's kind of what my strategy is when it comes to a lot of these kinds of things. The Rocket Lab chart has something that is very, very bullish, which is a monthly katana. It looks extremely bullish, but it looks so bullish that so far you have 2 months way outside the upper Bollinger Band. Can it go for another 2 months above the upper Bollinger Band and get up to like $17 or something like that? It certainly can, but I just get a little bit worried whenever I see something like that. It would not surprise me at all if it goes all the way down from here, down 30% to like the 2.3, no, sorry, 0.236 level down here, which is basically the back test of this breakout zone over here, right? I would not be surprised at some point if it decides it doesn't want to push all the way up to like 0.618 or 0.786 and just come back to like some of these higher levels. Usually what happens if you're a price breakout, you can break multiple FIB levels. You can break like, 3 FIB levels, back test 2, or you can break like 4 FIB levels, back test 2 or 3, or you can break like 5 FIB levels and back test like 2 or 3. So I don't know like how far this thing would run. That's why I'm saying like if I'm in it, I'm just going to ride through, but I'm probably not going to enter because I can totally see a scenario is going to hit a snag somewhere and it wants to potentially come back and back test on this stuff. And I just don't want to be in it to do that. But if I was already in it, if I was already having a lot of gains, this thing looks like it wants to go up higher over time. Even if it comes back down to like the 0.336, it doesn't matter. Like this is going to go a lot higher. It's going to rocket a lot higher. Teehee. Let's see. Going back here to this level, let me see. I think that's the all-time low over there. To give you a little bit better idea in terms of where I think price is going to go, I'm going to do again here. I'm going to do like 90 because I think that's all I really need. There's really not much history here. The chart from this all-time low here, I changed that to 1. You can see that it might be running into a little bit of resistance here at the arc, But again, it's a bull trend. I can't call the top. I don't know where it's going to top. So if you want to trade in and out of it, I think it's just recently broke above the 0.236. So it might be the next level. It might be where you're potentially interested in taking profits or shorting or whatever you want to do. But I just, I can go up to maybe like 12.4 or something like that. That's kind of where it looks like it wants to go. What happens after that, I don't know. All right. All I know is this is a big giant accumulation zone. Looks like a perfect Wyckoff. We have the spring over here, and the spring's working out. So, na 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 na. Any other members' request? Don't work too hard. I can't work. Anyway, I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm just enjoying myself. So I'm gonna keep going. But before I keep going, I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Give me like 10 seconds. I'm back. ASTS. Would I want to get into this? No, I would not, because I don't like to chase. Why did it end up getting resistance? Well, because if you just draw again here, 180 and 1, you can see that price has pushed through multiple arcs to push through arcs number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and finally getting rejected here at the 4th arc. Does it look like it wants to push through? Potentially, but you're at resistance right now, right? This is, yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I really want to enter that because a lot of gains has already been made, and you have a lot of people really trying to take profits here, right? So I do think that it has another leg up. To be completely honest with you, I do think that it has another leg up. The rationale for that is not because of the GAN. The rationale for that is because the lower Bollinger Band is still all the way down here. Like you don't just have a very crazy parabolic bull trend that's just gonna abruptly V-shape down. This could very well be the top. Don't get me wrong, $39 could be the top of this thing. But until the lower Bollinger Band goes from negative up towards the ground here, where you can actually see it, there's still a chance for it to make another leg up. And the leg up could be as high as around the 2.618 level over here. I think it's possible. Or even like this horizontal line up here, maybe like $73, $63, $73, $86. I think it's possible, but the majority of the gain has already been made. The majority of gain has already been made. And there's also a possibility, there's always a possibility where price just goes sideways and the Bollinger Band just comes back to the ground and it doesn't make another all-time high. That is also a possibility. This reminds me of like MSTR during the last cycle, where you look like you had like 4 really crazy bullish candle that went all the way up, and the Bollinger Band is like all the way down here, right? But it never really made another like higher high here for the entire year, and the Bollinger Band just like, okay, that was fun, crawl all the way back. Or it could end up just keep going higher, like what MSTR is doing right now, right? You had a Bollinger Band that went all the way down. You have these like crazy 4 or 5 candles way outside the upper Bollinger Band, and it still wants to make another leg up. So I don't know. Like I see 2 scenarios here. I don't think price can plummet from here, but I don't know whether or not it's still got another higher high here for it. It could. If it does, maybe the numbers that I just kind of show you, maybe another like 3x or something like that, 4x or something like that, before I think the trend is like really exhausted. With that said, this is all just speculation. This is based on my experience and what other stocks look like. I don't know if this is like a much smaller market cap, and the price volatility and the price prediction can be very off, right? So I don't want to be too deterministic about this. CORZ, there's really not much to chart on CORZ because there really isn't that much price history. All I can say is that it still looks like a bullish chart on the daily here. On the weekly, it also looks very bullish. The only issue I have with CORZ right now is that it's going up on bearish divergence, right? But things can go up on bearish divergence for a very long time. It's also hitting like the upper Bollinger Band over here too. So it's hitting a bit of resistance here. So would I enter CORZ based on the way that the chart looks? Probably not. But if Bitcoin does really well, I can still see CORZ do really well. So don't let me stop you from making money. I just don't have a position in CORZ because of the 2 things I saw. One is the bearish divergence that has yet to work out, yet to resolve, if you will. The second thing is hitting like the Bollinger Band here on the weekly. So you're going to have a little bit of a harder time to re-expand the Bollinger Band. You really need like more impulsive price action to do that. So that's what I think about CORZ. WULF, I'm very bullish on WULF. I have a position in WULF. I'm very happy about the way that it's looking right now, but it doesn't really have a bearish divergence. You see what I'm saying? Like, it hasn't gone up on bearish divergence at all. The 20-week moving average is serving as support. You had a very nice green candle here last week. And the last week's green candle was on really decent volume over here. So a lot of bullish stuff looking at it. Tenkan Kitchen here serving as support. Tenkan Kitchen here serving as support on the monthly chart. It wants to, based on the cloud, it says this one is graphic to like 11.7, I guess. Or if it pushed through the cloud, it's going to be like around like $22 up here. Or if you want other more precise target besides looking at the monthly Ichimoku cloud here, I can show you what I think in terms of like these Gann lines and circles here based on Fibonacci sequences. What I see here is that it's still stuck underneath this arc over here. It got rejected over here before, but I can totally see it hitting the next arc up here around $12, depending where it hits, maybe 11 or 12. It could end up closing the cycle up higher in the 20s. I can see that, depends on where it hits. I don't know exactly where it's going to hit. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows. It's going to go higher. I don't know how high the cycle goes, right? I can come up with these like crazy targets, but like you have to remember the price is like 50 cents just a year and a half ago. So I think that it's probably still got another 5 to 8x in front of it. I just don't know where exactly it's going to land. So that's WULF. AVGO. Let me see. Do I have another members request down here? Celsius. I don't know. I don't want to. I have this theory. I have this theory that Celsius is going to hit the Ichimoku cloud down here. I don't know if it's going to hit or not. Um, I have this theory it's going to hit the Ichimoku cloud because it did that before a bullish continuation. So if you think that we're out of the woods, if you think that this downtrend is over because you have a green candle over here, I'm not so sure. The reason why is because whenever you have a bad bear trend like this, sometimes it doesn't just end with just one candle. Sometimes it takes longer for you to have to repair the chart. The low Bollinger Band is still somewhere around 20. Whenever you have a bad bear trend, sometimes, not always, sometimes it wants to touch the low Bollinger Band. So I don't want to, if you're absolutely feel very strongly about the fundamentals of Celsius, if you want to get into Celsius, I do think that the price that you're buying right now is probably going to do very well over the next like 5 years. But there is no guarantee to me that it has bottomed. I think that's the thing is like there's no guarantee from my perspective that it has bottomed. I cannot say that it's bottomed. Even looking at the weekly Ichimoku, I can't pull it up anymore. Even looking at weekly Ichimoku, you're hitting resistance here with the Tenkan, right? That's resistance, right? Even if you're talking about the bull market support bands all the way up here, there's a lot of resistance up above. You can potentially, even if it pushes through the Tenkan here, it could get rejected and then make another low down here below. Is it going to be a higher low? Is it going to be a lower low? I don't know, right? It's just hard to catch these falling knives. I was hoping if on the weekly, if I was to see that these are having like some clear bullish divergence here with RSI, then I would have been like, okay, I think that the downtrend has decelerated enough that I think this is the bottom. I'm not really seeing that. I'm not seeing confirmation. I'm not seeing enough for me to say, this is it. I made a whole members video to tell you like how I would catch a falling knife. So far, this is not meeting my falling knife catching criteria, and it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad stock. By the way, it could very well bounce up from here. It could V-shape from here. Like I don't know, but that's if that's the case, and if I make you lose money, I'm sorry. None of this is financial advice. I'm just telling you what I would do in this particular situation. There's no confirmation. There's maybe like very, very strong support down below. If you're interested in buying in this stock, I think this is a good level to start a position in. I wouldn't, but if it gets down here, I actually think I might get into Celsius. But maybe because I'm a little bit greedy, but maybe because I'm also just not convinced that it's done doing its thing yet. So going back up here, man, I got a lot of AVGO, sorry. AVGO, semiconductor, it looks like it just wants to keep going higher. Like this, the question on a stock like this is going to be like, okay, so where is it going to go? I don't know where it's going to go. Like, I don't know where it's going to go. It looks like it's already like broken above all my FIB levels here on linear. And on log, it's kind of broken above the 2.618. If I do a Gann chart here, this is basically part of the reason to kind of illustrate to you, like, look, that's why QQ is at resistance, because AVG is also resistance, but it looks like it wants to push through resistance. It's just been stuck underneath resistance here so long, it looks like it just want to push through, right? So let's do a Gann chart here, because I'm also curious in terms of what this looks like too, all the way from here, all the way out. And I'm going to do 360. And I'm going to do 10, right? Is it at resistance? Yeah, I guess it's getting close. It's getting close to the arc up here. The arc up down here, bottom of the arc was not that bad of resistance, but it was resistance here. Over here, like you can see that these arcs here and these lines here mean something. And we're already kind of gravitating up to the arc over here. So yeah, it might hit a little bit of a resistance here. Other things might kind of outperform it a little bit, but I do think that AVGO probably would just wants to continue up. But you're at a resistance zone. Like personally, I don't like, it's not the kind of stock that I'm interested in because I have so much like index fund exposure percentage wise for our portfolio. I'm like more interested in stocks that might give me some asymmetric upsides. AVGO can certainly do that for you, but it's just got such a big exposure in my portfolio. It's like my top 20 stocks without me owning any like individual positions in AVGO, just based on the fact that it's like so heavily weighted in terms of the index funds. I'm just not that interested in it. It's a great stock, but it's starting to hit some resistance here. So, how am I doing? I think I'm like knocking it out like it's butter. What is this DEFTF thing? I swear one of these days somebody's gonna like give me like a joke ticker, and I'm looking at like, what is this? Um, yeah, big giant cup. Looks like it wants to break out. This actually looks a little bit like a Bitcoin last cycle, by the way. Um, Broke through the monthly cloud. That's a bullish thing. Could potentially backtest the bottom of the cloud or the top of the cloud before bullish continuation. Had a bullish cross. Looks pretty decent here. Bollinger Band a little bit too far outside. Had a couple of months kind of getting back inside here. Is an OTC stock. It's hard for me to know exactly what it's going to do. It could very well hit up here and it just keeps going down. I don't know, right? Like there's no way for me to tell you that based on cycle, this is going to go a lot higher. It basically is doing the same thing it did over here. But the promising thing is it broke above the cloud. So it was able to backtest the cloud and is able to find support. It could go up a lot higher. I just don't know how high it's going to go. I know nothing about like, this company. It's really hard for me to give you any additional thoughts on that. Looks like Riot is. Oh, what would be the best coin to purchase today and hold for the next 10 years? I wouldn't hold any coins for the next 10 years except for Bitcoin. Because I don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. You know what the best coin is to hold over the next 10 years? Is the ticker symbol coin. That's what I think. Because it doesn't matter, like altcoins come and go, but I think Coinbase is going to stick around because of institutions and whatnot. Dan, now, Mal, now. This is like one of Roof Capital's favorite. It's a very beautiful bounce here on the cloud multiple times. Bullish cross. It's looking like it's poised to go higher. It's not overextended on the Bollinger Band on the monthly. Again, on a chart like this, it's like what do you expect, right? I think one thing to expect is if you're interested in taking profit, I always look at FIB levels. And I think that the FIB level has been hit here at the 1.618, which is why you're going to have a hard time, just immediately going to 1100 because you're at a FIB level resistance here, right? So that is to be taken into consideration. But yeah, this is a bullish chart. Like I don't have anything else to say about it. It doesn't even look that overextended here on the Ichimoku on the Tenkan there. So that's that. VKTX. Yeah, I don't know what to make. Viking, I looked at this the other day. I think things are kind of consolidating sideways. I do think that when you have a chart like this, you're always at risk for coming back down, back test the 20-month moving average. But this is still a bull trend. What is the lower Bollinger Band doing? It's kind of contracting here a little bit. I don't know if the bull trend's over or not. It's hard for me to chart something like this. All I know is that, let me see. Yeah, all I know is that it's looking like it wants to have some bullish continuation, but I just don't know how high. And it's hard for me to say for sure because it's already hitting some resistance up here at these FIB levels. It's already so overextended. Whenever you made like two big legs up like that, there's like I cannot say like this is a bull trend that's going to continue. But it's also not exhausted yet. So if you buy now, I think most likely you're okay. It can have a lot down further to kind of pack test some of the stuff down below, but it doesn't have to. I don't know. I'm not getting a good read on this, unfortunately. But it's a bull trend. Yeah. I just don't know when it's going to get overextended. So when in doubt, I think I probably did like a Gantt chart here before on the monthly. I'm just going to do a quick and dirty 190, and I'm going to do 90 and 10. It's yeah, it's hitting resistance here at the arc. So that also gets me a little bit worried. If it breaks down underneath the horizontal here, then it's going to go down to 30. You know, if it just keeps on consolidating, if it breaks through the arc, then it could grab it to another arc. I'm not getting a good read in terms of what happens next. I'm sorry. And la 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 la. Let's see. Yeah, I did spy at the very beginning. Suri. And yeah, Tom Lee's been pumping out IBM for a while. I'm also very bullish on IBM. RXRX. Ah, I drew a big diamond here. I don't remember when I drew this diamond. Is the diamond holding? Diamond's holding pretty well. Yeah, I totally didn't draw this recently because otherwise I would have remembered. And I probably drew it when it was like touching down here, and it's basically just respecting the diamond. So yeah, there you have it. It's a diamond bottom, guys. I don't know what else to say about this. Okay, so let me do something a little bit different here, right? I'm gonna do let's do 360, give you a little bit more price action here, and I'm gonna do like 0.1 maybe. It's not. It doesn't really. I mean, what happens if I do 1? It doesn't really give me very good market symmetry. Let's do 0. No, stop it. Let's do 0.2. And I don't want to get rid of the diamond, so you guys have to just deal with it. But I do want to get rid of this line over here because it wasn't that drawn that precisely. You know what? It looks like a diamond down here below because it's been holding this Gantt angle here almost perfectly. It's been just rejected by this arc over here. So it has to push through the arc before it goes higher. And I think it will because it's a diamond, right? What does a diamond do? It oscillates within a diamond, and it's probably going to end up push through this arc up here, push through the horizontal line over here. And it's probably going to end up hitting this arc over here. We'll see how it reacts. By the time when it gets to the arc, it's probably going to be exhausted, so you're probably going to have to back test. I'm still speculating here. It's not even funny, right? But if you are not speculating, if you look at some of the objective things here, you're going to go back to the monthly, you're going to look at the 20-month moving average. It's still a downtrend. You know, right now, currently prices underneath are negative sloping 20. It's not ready yet. You can certainly buy into it. I think it's forming some higher lows over here. You can certainly buy into it, but there's no confirmation. I don't know when it's going to start running. It's underneath the Ichimoku here on the monthly, on the 2-month, on the weekly. So far, the weekly taken and serving as resistance. And you also got the Buran support band over here as a resistance above too. And it flip from support here to resistance until you are able to really turn this flat and break back above, back test it, and then complete the diamond up here above. Right now, it's still a little bit of a downtrend, but I do favor that in the short term, you see as a trade, it probably ends up grabbing up here to like, $8 or $9 somewhere up here. It was probably going to be like the next move, but it still has a lot of resistance above before it does that. And it could spend the entire 2025 just to get to the top of the diamond. So, whew, man. What do I have? TNXP. How am I doing on time? It's almost 2 hours. I've been on for almost 2 hours. Oh my god. TNXP. Yeah, I'm not touching it. Look at the monthly here. Where's the lower Bollinger Band? Yeah, I'm not touching this. I have a few criteria on like catching a falling knife. I don't think this like meets any of my criteria at all. The RSI is flatlined in like 20 in the high 20s. No, I'm not touching this. Next, sorry, I don't mean to like trash at what you're asking me to do, but this pretty bearish looking chart. So yeah, I'm gonna skip Coinbase and MSTR. Sorry guys, I talked about MSTR recently. I think I probably talked about it on a video that I made on Friday that's available on X on my YouTube. Search that. I think I talked a little bit about that. I also made like a members only video with Danny and with the great Matsby. I'm gonna share that with my members here in a little bit. So I'm going to skip those two. But thank you for joining in and listening to me having fun. I don't know what DeFi is. Tidal Commodities Trust. Probably doesn't have enough candles here for me to like really chart here. All I know is that it's still considered to be bullish. It looks like it wants to ride the rising Tenkan to kind of go up a little bit higher. Oh, this is Bitcoin. Okay, that's why. Why don't you just chart Bitcoin? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's basically riding Tenkan up. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I just made a video on Friday. I don't have much changes. So, DeFi technologies. DeFi technologies. This also kind of looked like Bitcoin. It looks like it wants to keep going higher. It's at support. It's a little bit overheated, but I think that it's probably going to end up consulting sideways here, and then it's going to break the previous all-time high here. It's going to go higher. It just needs to form its handle. I don't know how long it's going to form its handle for. It can be a few months before going up higher, but it looks like it wants to go higher. I don't have much else to I don't have much else to add to this. If you want to add to like a cup handle at the handle before the breakout, I think it's reasonable. But I just don't know how low the handle is going to go. It can go all the way down to like the leading span A over here, and that would be like 50% down. That's a pretty brutal town drop, or it can hit like the Tenkan Kijun down here around like 1.8, 1.92 before going up. That's entirely possible. Or it doesn't have to. It can just push through, right? I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen. But just be like mentally prepared if you're going to buy something like this after it gone from like 7 cents all the way up to like $2.74. If it goes back down to like $2 or lower, or like $1.50 or something like that, it's fine. Yeah, lower time frame. Let's look at the weekly here. It does have that little ascending triangle look to it, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Yeah. On the Ichimoku, it is holding the Tenkan as support here, but sometimes I see these things. Sometimes it breaks down. Like there's no guarantee. If you look at the Bollinger Support Band, you still have some support down here, down further below, right around 2.2, 2.3. There's entirely possibility that it could go back down like it did over here to backtest it before further bullish continuation. It's a bull trend, but just be aware of like what your potential risk levels are. So, I covered WULF brief. Oh, if you're talking about WOLF, then yeah, I skipped it. I haven't done that. But let's see. WULF, please. Let's do WULF. And then I think I'm gonna talk about not SUF. Yeah, so that's the thing. WULF is at resistance right now. At the Bollinger Support Band resistance. A lot of people are taking profit from this. I know Tracker is taking profit from it. I can't really on the 2-week Tenkan, that's resistance here. It's just got multiple resistance. This is a falling knife, and if you catch it right there, you're a very, very brave soul because you caught it at a perfect juncture. And I think I did a can here, and it was like the perfect arc support somehow. I don't remember. I think I'm gonna do like 750, no 720. And I'm going to make this like a 1. And yeah, if you caught down here, you basically just caught a falling knife and you caught it right at the arc. So congratulations, right? Like that's amazing. I don't like, but you're hitting a lot of resistance above. I would not enter it now because you're going to end up getting slammed by a negative sloping Tenkan. If you don't get slammed by a negative sloping Tenkan, you're going to get slammed by the angle up here. If you don't get slammed by the angle, you can get slammed by a very negative sloping 20-month moving average. Granted, you can buy it here if you're willing to risk. You can buy it here with anticipation to sell up higher, right? But there's also no guarantee because you also have a lot of shorter time frame resistance here around like 19, and also like right where it is right now, right? So we'll see how it reacts from here. See whether or not you're able to reclaim the Bollinger Support Band. If it's able to reclaim the Bollinger Support Band, great, because you did have a very, very high volume candle over here. But if you're not, then yeah, you might potentially come back down. I would not get into this. The reason why is because you're betting on one direction in a short time frame. I don't know if it's going to go up or down. Like that, I don't know. Long term, I'm not convinced that this is done yet. Long term, this could very well be the bottom, but I don't see any confirmation, with the exception that you have some really nice capitulation volume over here, and you are hitting it again. Arc over here that's been back tested for like almost a decade. So I think that long term wise, maybe is bottom, but I just don't favor it because I don't know how much of a high here before it gets rejected down, like longer term. I just cannot be in it. So just the way I kind of think. All right, so I think I'm gonna do this. It's getting close to my 2 hour mark. I think I have fulfilled all of the members' request. I want to thank you all for that. I'm going to talk lastly about Bitcoin, and then I'm probably going to end the show. I'm surprised that nobody asked about SoFi. Good. I'm going to make a video maybe on SoFi later. Where do I think Bitcoin is going to go? Lower time frame. I've been doing a lot of these like lower time frame charts just for fun. Like I don't try to trade in and out of these. Yeah, I don't try to trade in and out of these things because I really don't care on like to trade all this on a lower time frame. But if you are asking me like where do I think things are going to go, I got to say this is the 8 hour chart of Bitcoin, and it looks like there's a rising three methods kind of building up here. And I guess I don't have the volume here to support that. You have rising three methods over here on declining volume. So I have suspicion that the AR EM actually end up going up higher. It may not have to work out. I don't know. It may not have to work out. The only reason why I think it may not have to work out is because the uptrend over here. This is a 4 hour chart. Uptrend over here is looking a little bit exhausted, and you've had gone up all the way from like 59,000 to current price up here around 69,000, and you've been building a lot of these kind of like bearish diversions. It's cooling down the bearish diversions right now. But all of these are still an inside candle to this big giant green candle over here. So I think that if it ends up this is it for the correction, and if that's the case, I think I would be absolutely amazed that that's the case. Then you're talking about potentially hitting R up here, right around like 70,000, 71,000, something like that. But you still have a little bit of a bearish divergence here. Maybe it's being played out right now. I don't know. But I do think that overall this looks bullish. It just needed to cool down. If it breaks down underneath the 0.786, then you can potentially grab it down here around some of these levels down here. But since it broke above the 0.786, I think the likelihood of this is it just needs to cool down maybe a little bit longer, and then you're probably going to end up having some bullish continuation. That's my guess. And because of the candle formation here is still very bullish, even though you're on bearish divergence, things can go up a lot higher on bearish divergence for longer. So that's kind of what I think. I don't necessarily count on initially, like you have a very nice angle over here that there's just not, the energy's got exhausted, the angle got broken, and right now you're grounding towards the arc, and the arc has been serving as resistance. So far for this 4 hour candle is breaking above the arc up here. We'll see whether or not the 4 hour candle actually closes back above. It can still ride down further on the top of the arc, right? But all of this right here is just noise because there's no volume, and all of these are also inside candle, this candle over here, which means that once it's done consolidating sideways, it's going to end up pushing up higher. If it no longer becomes an inside candle, this is Bitcoin, do whatever it wants. If it ends up grabbing down further to like some of the levels down here, I think 65,000 something might be probably as low as it goes. Like this horizontal zone over here is probably like as low as it goes, like 65,500. I don't think it's going to have to go down there. If anybody's calling for price to like go down a lot further, I'm not seeing anything that's necessarily going to support that. Even on higher time frame, there are a lot of things that are just looking very, very bullish to me that I just can no longer be bearish on Bitcoin. Like for example, and that stupid gain is going to show up again, but I don't care. Like for example, it broke above this RSI trend line very clearly. Looks like there's a little bit of uptrend here. It did have a lot of great market symmetry here, with the bull run support band serving as support now. You basically have like a rising price right above the bull run support band. This candle over here looks just like this candle over here, and it's been playing out still. Like there's nothing to tell me that there's anything to get worried about. And the volume is also kind of uptick here a little bit too, kind of like how it's kind of uptick a little bit after consolidating sideways for so long. You have a little bit uptick of volume, which is actually quite promising. The other big volume was really here during this capitulation candle. It went like grad liquidity all the way down to 49,000. But ever since then, I think we're at a very good spot. You flipped the weekly Ichimoku cloud from resistance up here, broke through, and now you just back tested a support over here around 53,000. It didn't even double tap it. It looks like it wants to go higher. A lot of people are finally like making posts about this bullish cross that I was looking at from like late last week. Yeah, bullish cross looks like it's happening, unless if the price end up closing down further, and you might not end up having the bullish cross. But I think you have a bullish cross there. Even on the higher time frame, everything looks great. Riding in Tenkan up. This blue line riding Tenkan up is very similar to like how it was over here. But there's really nothing bearish about Bitcoin that I'm really truly worried about. The question is more like, how much higher is Bitcoin going to go? That's really the question. And that is one that I would really hate to delete these things. I'm going to use, which gives me the most all-time history index. There you go. If you ask me how much higher Bitcoin's going to go this cycle, and I'm going to probably like end the live stream with this. When in doubt, man, I hate making these sayings. When in doubt, GAN it up. And I have all these like old GAN here. It's like looking at your trash can from the past. But if I just do, let's see here. I want to do, I think 360 is going to be a good level here. And charting Bitcoin is a little bit tricky. So I'm going to do like, yeah, this is not going to give me a good market symmetry. I might need like a much higher number. Yeah, even then it's not going to give me a good market symmetry. I would say this. Yeah, that gives me some better market symmetry, but it's just kind of hanging out in space. I would say this. I'm just gonna say this. I don't think that the market makers did like a whole year and a half of consolidation here, like they did like 2 years of consolidation over here, just for price to end here, and just for price to go up to like 90,000. I think it's going to go a lot higher. I think it's going to go to like 6 digits. And like if you ask me exactly where things going to go, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I think that once it breaks above the previous cycle high again, I do think that minimum is going to go to 1.618, which is like 102,000. Probably going to hit the 2.618, which is like 155,000, 156,000, somewhere around there. I think these targets are going to hit. I don't know if the higher targets are going to hit or not. It really depends. There's no guarantee. But I just want to bring out the fact that I don't think the bull trend has really started yet for Bitcoin. There's usually on each cycle, what happens is you have the initial consolidation in the early bull market phase, early to mid bull market phase, where you have a little bit of expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. Here you have a little bit of expansion, contraction before the real expansion happens, right? Here you have like expansion, contraction, right? Before the real parabolic move happens, right? We haven't really had that parabolic move happen yet. And we don't really have that euphoric stage yet. Does it necessarily mean that it's going to have that this cycle? No, not necessarily. Even though like NVIDIA have had cycles where it would just drag, it would be so bullish that it would just drag a little bullish band all the way down to the ground. It doesn't always have to do that. It didn't do it last cycle, right? It did it this cycle so far, but it doesn't always have to do that. So but regardless, I just don't think that we really have had that euphoric sentiment quite just yet. And there are a lot of things like a rising 20-month moving average, a rising Tenkan, the monthly Ichimoku back test. A lot of things tell me like this thing's going to go a lot higher. I just don't know how far. I just show you some like suggested targets here and there. And I did some old Gann charts. I'm probably gonna have to like go back and take a look at it. So um, let me take a sip of water. Initially, I said I was gonna end this, but I can certainly do finger. I love to do finger. I'm gonna do SoFi later. I'm not gonna do that now, but let me take a sip of water, and now I'll do finger. I'll end the show. Yeah, no, thanks. You caught me. You're like, here you go. Finger motion. I have no idea what this is. Wow, it looks like a EKG. I don't know what to make out of it. On the So objectively speaking, if you're looking at these different indicators, it's been trendless for a very long time, and right now, most recently, over like the last year or so, the trend has been more down than has been up. And the Tenkan has been serving as a resistance here. It got rejected here back in August. It was going to look like it was going to be a rising three, but that did not work out. Got rejected here at the Tenkan. So far, you're going to end up having more um, resistance here than support. But another thing too is also underneath a 20-month moving average. So there's not really a whole lot of trend that I can tell you. I don't know like whether or not this thing could potentially make another like lower low. I do not know that. It looks like it's just been oscillating and it's just been trendless, but you've been trying to get above all these resistance, but just kind of getting rejected here. So it's hard for me to want to like, get into the stock, especially since I don't know what it is. Look at a lower time frame. If you're looking at the bonus support band, it also served as resistance really for the last year, right? I mean, granted, the downtrend looks like it's kind of slowing down, but right now it's still getting rejected. So right now it's also underneath the law, and even on like a weekly time frame, it's also getting rejected here at the Tenkan over here, right? So there are a lot of work that still has to do. Now the question is, I don't think this is like a falling knife. And if you really feel that bullish on this assets, is there any redeeming quality on the chart here, if you will, that makes me want to get into it? And I'm trying to look for any kind of bullish divergences here. I'm not really seeing any clear bullish divergence for anything that is just going to go up a lot higher. Um, I just see like trendless. So yeah, I'm sorry if it's not too helpful. Another thing I generally look at, in addition to RSI, I can look at the unbalanced volume and see whether or not there's any like hidden buying pressure. I'm not really seeing any bullish divergence either. So it's just been consolidating sideways. It's underneath a lot more resistance than support. To be completely honest, it's shorter to the hilt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The RSI. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up the RSI back here. I would say if you want to like trade RSI, I would say minimally you want it to break above the RSI trend line, right? And this is not a perfect RSI trend line because you do have a little bit of peak above of it, right? It's a big wedge. You're not wrong. It could have a breakout. You're not wrong. But even if you have a breakout, because RSI is like in the 40s, if you break out to like 50, you can still potentially come back and back test it, and momentum would still be a little bit of a low, right? So even if you have a breakout, unless if you have like an epic short squeeze, which again I'm not seeing any like bullish divergence here for me to really think that it's gonna have like an epic short squeeze anytime soon, and if the whales already know that this is gonna happen. Like I'm not seeing something like this. This is not like GME. Like even if I compare to, I'm gonna say like XRP. A lot of people are like dog on XRP, but at least XRP have a couple things going for it. You have a rising 20-month moving average, right? You have the Ichimoku, like you're really at least trying to reclaim the Tenkan Kijun over here, right? And even for like GME, you have things like the 20-month moving average, right? It reclaimed that, right? you have all these things kind of on this back end. You don't have the monthly, Tenkan Nikijin, but at least you're above the weekly Ichimoku cloud, right? So like for like finger motion, I just don't see that. Like all of these are still resistance. So I can't really say that I can buy that. I can totally see like a short squeeze on like GME. I can see a short squeeze on like XRP. I can totally see that, but I just don't know if I'm convinced on finger motion quite just yet. So yeah, no problem. Yeah, absolutely. Kim, thank you. Like you don't have to do that, but I'm not going to say no to I'm not going to say no to you. Yeah, thank you. I think y'all are looking for chart request DK because you're a long-term OG follower. You ask about AUR. I'm going to do AUR here, and this looks very similar to HIMS. I think this actually is a pretty bullish chart. I think it's actually interesting that you can see like there's RSI like resistance up here around like 70, and I think it wants to break it. And I think eventually it probably will. I don't know when it's going to end up doing that. It's a bullish chart. I don't have to show you any reason as to like why this is bullish. It's just a bullish chart. The question is it overextended? Should you be cautious? It is overextended. You should be a little bit cautious. I probably wouldn't buy, but if I was in it, I would probably hold because you don't know how far bull trend is going to run. It had a bullish cross here during Tenkan Nikijin. It looks like it wants to go up higher. I just don't know where the absolute top is going to be. So in order for me to find out more about it, did I do charting on this already recently? I probably didn't leave anything on here. If I do a FIB level, you can see it kind of flipped the 0.236 from resistance to support here. Let's see if I see anything different with a log scale. And the log scale is even better. You're maybe potentially bringing about the 0.618 here on the monthly. We'll see how October closes. Obviously, it can still come back down here a lot lower. But I just I think that it's trying to break above the 0.618, which is bringing about this level over here. It was able to do that, and it was able to break about the 0.786. Then you talk about mooning, right? But is it happening yet? No, you still got these resistance of the 0.786. I think it's going to be a big one, right? And I still think that the month needs to close about the 0.618 before it does anything. I can certainly do again here for fun because I honestly do all this for fun. I like doing it. I like doing it. 180 is probably going to be sufficient to give you some market symmetry here. And then I'm going to do like 0.1. Yeah, see, you're at resistance, right? But you're also getting about the 0.618 here. 0.618 is also essentially like the horizontal line here on the GAN. You're getting above that. You're also getting above the bottom of the arc over here. So we'll see. It probably needs to kind of back test it a little bit, maybe like stuck inside the arc here a little bit, or it could push through the arc and then back test the arc here before further bullish continuation. I don't know, but it's some pretty bullish development here. I never think like stuff like that is just going to end up mooning from here. And the volume certainly doesn't suggest that it's going to do that. So probably a little bit more consolidation over the next couple of weeks before further bullish continuation. But that's just a guess. That is just a guess. You guys, 2 hours and 8 minutes. I'm going to go. Thank you for joining. And I'm sorry, I know you guys have requested some charts towards the end, but I think that these things are getting more and more popular. And as the bull market continues, I still think that there's going to be a Dan quitter. Yeah, that's what I am. I think these as the bull market continues, this channel is going to be more and more popular, and things are going to get easier and easier to chart because it's just be like, oh, this is a bull trend. Let's just draw some like fit levels and draw some GAN and see whether or not we're at resistance and see whether or not you should be careful. But like, I think it's going to get more and more popular. I'm probably going to end up getting more and more requests. I don't want to like charge like money, but like if you want to join the membership, I'm going to take you as like a priority, like because you're showing me that you're supporting me. I'm still trying to get to your request regardless, but I just can't, Anyway, you guys, before I go, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of ASMR. I'm gonna scratch my shoulder here because I'm a little bit itchy. So here it goes. So hopefully that pushes us to sleep tonight. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. And take care. Bye.